Ruxana was a quiet woman. She lived in a small house with her husband, her mother-in-law, and her young son, Saad. Every morning, she woke up before the sun. She made tea, cooked breakfast, cleaned the house, and prepared lunch for everyone. She never complained. She never argued. She just smiled. A broken smile. But behind that smile, there was pain. Her mother-in-law never said, "Thank you." Instead, she always found something wrong. "Why is the roti hard? Why is the tea cold?" Ruxana would lower her eyes and softly say, "I'll make it again, Amiji." Her husband, Aslam, didn't care either. He never looked at her with love. He never asked how she was. When he came home from work, he gave his mother sweets, but not even a kind word to his wife. Ruxana just watched, holding back tears. Saad, her 10-year-old son, noticed everything. He saw how his mother worked all day but got no respect. He saw her crying in the kitchen late at night. He didn't say much, but his heart was heavy. One evening after dinner, Ruxana was washing dishes. The water was cold and her hands were shaking. Her mother-in-law sat on the sofa and shouted, "Clean the floor, too! It looks dirty." Ruxana nodded even though she was tired. She bent down to clean and her back ached. Still, she said nothing. Aslam sat in the next room watching TV, laughing loudly. Not once did he look at his wife. Not once did he ask if she was okay. After cleaning, Ruxana sat alone on the kitchen floor. She was too tired to eat. Her body was weak. Her heart was even weaker. Suddenly, Saad came and sat beside her. "Ami, why don't you eat?" he asked. She smiled. "I'm not hungry, Beta." But Saad could see the truth. He gently held her hand. "Ami, do you love me?" he asked. She kissed his forehead. "More than my life." "Then promise me one thing," Saad said. "What, Beta?" she asked softly. "Promise me. You'll never cry again. One day, I will make everything right. I will make you smile, not a broken smile, but a real one." Ruxana looked at her son, and for a moment she felt hope. Just a little spark. She hugged him tightly. Her eyes were full of tears, but this time they were different. Not of pain, but of love. That night, when everyone slept, Saad sat by the window with a small notebook. He wrote something again and again. "My mother is not weak. My mother is a queen." He didn't know how, but he made a promise to himself. One day he would change everything. One day the world would know the value of his mother. The sun rose slowly over the city. Another day had begun. In the small house, Ruxana was already awake. She didn't need an alarm clock. Her body was used to this life. Her eyes were tired, her back hurt. But she got up anyway. She had work to do. She quietly made tea and placed the cups on a tray. Her hands were still cold from the early morning breeze. She knocked on her mother-in-law's door and softly said, "Ami ji chai." Her mother-in-law opened the door and took the cup. No smile. No thank you. Only a frown. "You're late today," she said in a sharp voice. Ruxana lowered her eyes. "Sorry, Ami ji. I'll be quicker tomorrow." From the other room, her husband Aslam shouted, "Where's my breakfast? I'm getting late for work." "Yes, I'm bringing it," Ruxana answered quickly. She ran to the kitchen, still wearing her old, torn shawl. She had no time to fix her hair or sit for even a minute. The paratha sizzled on the tawa, the tea boiled again. She rushed to serve everything. Aslam ate silently. No smile, no kind word. He finished eating and stood up. "I need some money for the house," Ruxana said softly, her voice almost shaking. "How much do you want now?" he snapped. "Just for groceries and a few things Saad needs for school," Aslam sighed. "Always asking for something. Can't you manage with less?" Ruxana nodded. "I'll try." He left without another word. She cleaned up the table. Her mother-in-law dropped her cup on the floor. The tea was too cold. Make it again next time. Ruxana bent down to pick up the broken pieces. One small cut on her hand. Blood. But she didn't stop. She simply wiped it with her dupatta and continued working. Hours passed. She washed clothes, cleaned floors, ironed clothes, and cooked lunch. She didn't sit down even once. But no one noticed. No one asked how she was. No one cared. Only Saad saw everything. He came back from school and quietly sat beside her as she folded clothes. "Ami, what did you eat today?" he asked. "Just some roti and tea," she said with a smile. "But I didn't see you eat," he said. "I ate before you came." "Don't worry, Beta," she lied. Saad looked at her face. Her eyes were red, her lips were dry, her hands looked tired. That night, Ruxana finally sat alone. The house was quiet. Everyone had eaten. Everyone had slept. She looked at her hands. Rough, cracked, tired. She looked at her face in the mirror. She couldn't recognize herself. This was not the girl she once was. This was not the woman she wanted to be. She closed her eyes. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Suddenly she heard a sound. It was Saad. He walked into the room and gave her a small steel plate. It had a little rice and curry. "I saved this for you, Ami. Please eat," he said. Ruxana smiled and hugged him. "You're too young to understand, Beta." "I understand." "Enough," he said. He sat beside her and said nothing, just watched her eat. Later, when she fell asleep, Saad opened his notebook again. He wrote, "One day I will give her everything. A big house, respect, peace. I will not let my mother suffer any more." Suspense, ending. For next part, the next morning, Ruxana found a school paper in Saad's bag. It had a gold star and a note from the teacher. "Brilliant speech. Very emotional. Made everyone cry." But she had never heard the speech. She wondered. What did her son say? The house was quiet in the early morning. Ruxana folded clothes as usual. While putting Saad's school uniform in his bag, she saw a folded paper. It was a school paper with a big gold star on top. There was a handwritten note from the teacher. "Excellent speech. Very emotional. Made everyone cry." Ruxana was confused. She didn't know Saad gave a speech. No one told her. No one invited her. She waited for Saad to return from school. That evening, as he entered the house, she gently asked, "Saad Beta, what was this speech?" He looked at her with his innocent eyes and smiled. "Nothing, Ami. Just a small speech. For school." But the teacher wrote something. She said people cried. Saad sat beside her. "It was about you, Ami." "About me?" she asked, surprised. "Yes. The topic was, the person I admire most, and I spoke about you." Ruxana's eyes filled with tears. "What did you say?" she asked softly. Saad looked down. "I said, my mother is the strongest person I know. She works from morning to night. She never rests. She never complains. She is always smiling. But behind that smile, I know she hides her pain." Ruxana covered her mouth. Her heart ached and swelled. "At the same time," I said, Saad continued, "my mother is not treated like a queen, but to me, she is more royal than any queen in this world. One day, I will give her the life she deserves." Ruxana hugged him tightly. Her tears fell on his shoulder. "Beta, you're just a child. Don't think about these things." But Saad was serious. He looked into her eyes. "No, Ami. I think about it every day." That night, Saad couldn't sleep. He lay in bed thinking about money, thinking about school, thinking about how to change his mother's life. The next day, he went to school early. He went to his teacher and asked, "Miss, how can someone become successful?" The teacher smiled. "Study hard. Work honestly, and never forget why you started. Saad nodded. He went back to class and opened his books with a new fire in his heart. Every day after school, he started helping his classmates with homework for small money. He cleaned the school garden on weekends to earn coins. He saved every rupee. He didn't buy snacks. He didn't buy new shoes, even when his old ones had holes. All he cared about was his dream. His mother noticed his old shoes. "Why don't you ask your father for new ones?" she said. "I don't need them yet, Ammi," he replied. "But they're torn. I'm okay. You need new slippers more than me." She didn't know what to say. Days turned into months. Saad studied harder than ever. At night, he wrote in his notebook, "She gave me life. I will give her a reason to smile." One day, the principal called Rukhsana to school. She was scared. "Did Saad do something wrong?" she asked. "No," the principal said with a smile. "Your son is special. He's top of the class. He helps others. And his speech, it made even the teachers cry." Rukhsana felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pride. She walked home, with her head a little higher. That evening, she cooked Saad's favorite food, chicken curry and warm roti. When he came home, she smiled and said, "Today I walked like a queen." Saad looked surprised. "Really? Why?" "Because my son is making me proud." They laughed and ate together, something they hadn't done in a long time. But deep inside, Saad was still not satisfied. He wanted more. He wanted respect for his mother, not just in school, but in the whole world. Years passed. Saad was now 17. He was taller, sharper, and more focused than ever. His eyes had the same fire, a dream to give his mother a better life. Rukhsana still lived the same routine. Wake up early, make tea, cook, clean, serve. Her life hadn't changed. But something inside her was slowly shifting. She saw her son growing into a strong young man. He didn't complain. He didn't waste time. And every time she looked at him, her heart whispered, "He is my hope." But in the house, nothing else had changed. Aslam, her husband, still ignored her. Her mother-in-law still taunted her. She still ate last, wore old clothes, and stayed quiet. One evening, Rukhsana asked Aslam, "Can we buy a new school bag for Saad?" "His is torn," Aslam replied coldly. "I don't have money for these useless things. If you want it, go earn yourself." Rukhsana didn't argue. She went to her room and stitched the old bag as best as she could. Saad saw everything, but said nothing. That night he looked at the moon and whispered, "I will never let her beg again. Never." Saad started working part-time after school. He tutored younger students, delivered groceries, and even cleaned. A small shop. He saved every rupee, not for himself, but for his mother. Meanwhile, he kept studying hard. He topped his class. Teachers praised him. Friends admired him. But at home, his achievements meant nothing. One day, his college posted a notice. Top 3 students will get full scholarships to a famous university. Saad saw his chance. He knew that if he got this, he could finally change their life. He studied day and night. He didn't sleep properly. He didn't eat much. He just studied. Rukhsana noticed. "Saad, you're not eating well. What's going on?" "I'm okay, Ammi," he replied. "Just preparing for something big." "Don't forget to take care of yourself," she said. "I won't," he smiled. "I'm doing this for both of us." The scholarship test came. Saad gave his best. When the result came, the principal called him. "Saad, congratulations. You've topped the list. You're going to university with a full scholarship." Saad's eyes filled with tears. His hands trembled. "Ammi, I did it." He ran home, breathless, shouting, "Ammi, Ammi, I got it. I got the scholarship." Rukhsana couldn't believe it. She held his face in her hands. "I'm so proud of you. Beta, I knew you could do it." They both cried, tears of joy, not pain, but not everyone was happy. That night, Aslam said, "So now you think you're some big man, huh? Going to university? Leaving your mother behind to do all the housework?" Saad stayed calm. "No, I will never leave her behind. In fact, I'm taking her with me." "What nonsense!" shouted his father. Saad didn't shout back. He simply looked him in the eye and said, "Enough. I've stayed silent for too long." Everyone in the house stopped. His voice was calm, but full of power. He turned to his mother and held her hand. "I've seen her work like a servant for years. I've seen her cry in silence. From now on, I'll not let her live like this." His father laughed. "What will you do? You have no job, no house, no power." Saad smiled. "Not yet, but one day soon, I will. And when that day comes, I'll take her away from this pain. Forever." Rukhsana tried to stop him. "Beta, don't say anything that will make things worse." But Saad replied, "Ami, this is the turning point. Either I speak now, or I lose the chance to protect you forever." The morning light entered the small house slowly. Rukhsana was busy, as always, making tea and preparing breakfast. Her hands were tired, but her heart felt light. Saad had won the scholarship. Maybe, just maybe, life would begin to change. But she didn't know what was coming. The door opened. Saad walked in. His face was calm, but his eyes looked serious. In his hand, he held a small paper and a shiny key. Rukhsana looked at him, confused. "Where were you, Beta? College?" Saad shook his head. "No, Ami. I went somewhere else." He walked past the kitchen, past his father, past his grandmother, and stood in the middle of the living room. Everyone looked at him. He took a deep breath. "I rented a small apartment," he said. Everyone froze. "What did you say?" Aslam snapped. "I said I rented a small apartment," Saad repeated, louder this time. "I paid for the first month myself. I'll manage the rest with part-time work and the scholarship support." "You did what?" Without asking me. "His," father shouted. Saad looked straight into his eyes. "I don't need permission to protect my mother." Aslam's face turned red. "You think you're a man now? You think you can talk like this?" Saad didn't flinch. "I stayed silent for years. I watched you insult her, ignore her, treat her like a maid. But no more. I'm taking her with me." Rukhsana dropped the spoon from her hand. "Saad, no, this will create problems." But Saad turned to her gently. "Ami, you've suffered enough. You gave your whole life to this house. What did you get in return? No love, no respect, just orders and pain." Her eyes filled with tears. His grandmother shouted from the side, "How dare you speak like this in front of elders?" Saad looked at her. "Respect is for those who give it. She served you like a daughter, but you never treated her like one." There was silence. Rukhsana looked down. Her heart beat fast. She had never heard anyone speak like this in her defense. Saad stepped forward. He took her hand. "Ami, you once told me I was your strength. Now let me be that strength. Come with me. Let me give you peace." Aslam shouted again. "If she steps out, she can never come back." Saad looked at him and said the sentence that shook the entire house. "Then let this house be a jail, not a home, because I will never let my mother be a prisoner again." Everything stopped. No one spoke. Even the walls felt silent. Rukhsana's hands trembled. Her heart was heavy. She had never thought of leaving, never even dreamed of stepping out. But now, her son stood like a wall in front of her. He was not a boy anymore. He was a man. Still, she hesitated. "Beta, what will people say? Where will we go?" Saad smiled. "People didn't cry with you. They didn't feed you. They didn't wipe your tears. So why should we care what they say?" He handed her the key. "The place is small, but it's clean, it's quiet, and you will be respected." She held the key in her hand. It felt heavy, but it also felt right. That night, Ruxana packed a small bag, just a few clothes and her prayer mat. She walked to the door. Aslam didn't stop her. He looked away. Her mother-in-law said nothing. Ruxana didn't cry. She turned back one last time and left. She walked into the dark street with her son by her side. For the first time in years, the air felt different. It felt free. The apartment was small, just one room, a tiny kitchen, and an old fan on the ceiling. The paint on the wall was faded, and there were cracks near the window. But Ruxana didn't care. She sat on the floor, looked around, and smiled. "This is not a palace, but it feels like heaven," she whispered. For the first time in years, she wasn't afraid to breathe. There were no taunts, no orders, no shouting voices, just peace. Saad brought 2 cups of tea and sat beside her. "Ami, it's not much, but I promise you, it's just the beginning," she smiled. "You've already given me more than anyone ever did." That night they ate simple food, just rice and lentils. But it was the tastiest meal of Ruxana's life, because it was shared with love, because she wasn't the last one to eat. She slept peacefully, without fear, without waiting for someone to call her name in anger. The next morning, Saad left early for college and part-time work. Ruxana looked around the apartment. It was dusty, but it was hers. She cleaned it, washed the little window, laid out the prayer mat, and smiled. "This is my place," she said to herself. "This is where my new life begins." Days passed. She started going for short walks. She talked to neighbors. Some smiled at her kindly, some stared, but she didn't care. One day she found a small notice on a wall outside a shop, looking for a woman to cook for a small tiffin service. Part-time. Safe environment. She stood there and read it twice. Then, she tore the paper, went home, and thought all night. The next morning, when Saad came back from college, she showed him the notice. "I want to try beta. I want to do something for myself now," she said. Saad's eyes lit up. "Ami, you don't have to. I can manage everything." "I know," she smiled. "But I want to. Not for money, for me." He nodded. "Then go for it. I'm with you." The eyes. Next day, Ruxana went to the small office. A kind woman greeted her. "We just need someone to cook simple food. Roti, sabzi, dal. We pay weekly." Ruxana agreed. She started cooking with love, just the way she used to cook for her son. Within 2 weeks, people began asking, "Who makes this food? It tastes like home." Ruxana felt something grow inside her. Confidence. Her soft hands, once used only for housework, were now creating something of value. She began earning her own money, just a little, but it was hers. She bought a new dupatta, a new slipper, a small gift for Saad. When she handed him the gift, he smiled wide. "Ami, you didn't have to." "I wanted to, just like you wanted to make me smile. I want to make you proud." News reached her old house through neighbors. "Ruxana is working now. She's smiling again. She looks younger." Aslam heard it too, but he said nothing. Maybe he finally realized what he had lost. Ruxana, however, didn't look back. She was busy rising, not as a maid, but as a queen of her own life. She started writing recipes in a notebook, added small tips. She began to dream bigger. One evening, she told Saad, "What if I start my own small tiffin service just from home?" He grinned. "Why not? I'll help you with the name. We'll make a page online too." And just like that, Ami's Kitchen was born. Simple, pure, honest, just like her. Ruxana stood in the small kitchen, rolling dough and singing softly. The sun was shining through the tiny window. The smell of freshly made roti filled the room. She packed each lunchbox carefully, writing the names with a marker. Mr. Ahmed. Miss Nita, office number 14. She smiled with pride. Her tiffin service, Ami's kitchen, was growing. Slowly, more people were ordering. They didn't just want food, they wanted her food. One afternoon, a man came to pick up an order. He was tall, wearing glasses, and had a small camera bag with him. "Are you Mrs. Ruxana?" he asked. "Yes, that's me," she replied. "I'm a journalist from a local food and lifestyle blog," he said. "One of your customers told me about your story and your cooking." Ruxana looked confused. "Story?" "Yes," he smiled. "How you started your life again. How your son stood beside you. It's inspiring." I just cook," she said softly. "But your food has soul. And your journey. It's what people need to hear." He asked for a short interview and some pictures. She hesitated, but Saad encouraged her. "Ami, the world should know your story. You're not just my hero. You can inspire many others." Ruxana finally agreed. A week later, the article went online with the title, "From Silence to Strength, the story behind Ami's kitchen." Within hours, it was shared by hundreds of people, then thousands. People were commenting, "I cried reading this. She reminds me of my mother. We need more women like her." Ruxana couldn't believe it. Her picture, standing in her small kitchen with a simple smile, was everywhere. Calls started coming in. Local TV shows wanted to invite her. Women's groups wanted to honor her. A famous food blogger offered to promote Ami's kitchen for free. But the most emotional moment came one evening. Ruxana and Saad were sitting together, reading kind messages online. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. Saad opened it. It was Aslam. He looked older, more tired. He held a newspaper in his hand. On the front page was Ruxana's story. I saw this," he said softly. "I didn't know you could become all this." Ruxana stood quietly. He looked at her with guilt. "I was wrong. I didn't value you. I treated you like you were nothing, but now the whole world sees you. And I feel small." She didn't say anything. Then he added, "I'm sorry." Ruxana's eyes didn't fill with tears this time. She simply replied, "You didn't break me. You made me stronger, and I thank you for that." Aslam looked down. "Can I come in?" She shook her head gently. "No, not into my home. But I hope you find peace in yours." She closed the door slowly, not with hate, but with peace. That night, Saad hugged her and said, "You've become the queen of many hearts, Ami. But to me, you were always a queen." Ruxana smiled and looked up at the sky. She whispered, "I was once ignored and insulted, but one sentence from my son changed everything."